Good evening, everyone. Pete, or Pedro, as I'm known to my mates. It's a little bit later in the day for the day three reactions to the reactions. I had a busy day today. Played golf in the morning and coached my young fella in rugby league, and he just went down in a last-minute win by the other side. But anyway, we're about the 49ers reaction to the reactions again to day three of training camp. Bit to get on with today. A little bit of, as Larry Kruger says, a bit of a shocking day in terms of some of the movements, some of the performances from the quarterbacks, particularly Trey Lance not having a big day. But we've got a few people on today's show, and so let's put in what's coming up. And so we're going to listen to some guys from the 95.7 The Game. We're going to listen to Rob Stats Guerrera and Mimosa Michelle, who is on the Gold Standard Podcast Network. We got Kruger and Haberman. So Kruger has invited Guy Haberman onto his show. I watched Guy Haberman's show as well, and that was a good one again. Grant Cohn, as usual. David Lombardi, as he was disembarking a plane in Dallas to go to a wedding. He had some words to say about the social media, whereby a lot of people were freaking out about Trey Lance and his opportunity to get reps. And my question, and then we'll obviously hear from Trey Lance, because there's been a lot of talk about his body language not being great. And then my question is to the people out there, throw your questions out onto the comment section. Why is Kyle running the QB competition in this manner? Okay, so if you have not liked the channel, liked this video, subscribe to the channel, please do so. Please leave a review, and we'll read it out on air. And so let's just get this into the stream, and let's have a look at a few of the highlights from today. We have some Elijah Mitchell there. So they're saying that Brock Purdy looked good. They're saying that Trey Lance had a particularly bad day. Sam Darnold looked good. And then Brandon Allen, again, not particularly great. So we've got some different perspectives. And the first one we're going to go to is going to be, I'll tell you right now, it's going to be from the guys of 95.7 The Game, Mark T. Willard and Dan Dibley. And listen to what he has to say in terms of why Brandon Allen is getting reps. It's been a theme with a lot of the content creators out there. So let's get rid of this and listen to what these guys have to say.
And I think it's foolish to think that the 49ers are giving Brandon Allen equal reps to Trey Lance and Sam Darnold. I think it's completely foolish to look at that and think that the 49ers are doing that because they've had injuries at the quarterback position before. That's just my take. I think that's crazy. I don't think you operate a team that way. In other words, planning for all of the injuries that you're going to get. You can talk about Brock Purdy's elbow.
So what does this say about Kyle Shanahan's confidence in his quarterbacks? What does this say about Kyle Shanahan's confidence in his O-line? What does this say about Kyle Shanahan's lack of attention to the offensive line if quarterbacks are getting injured by the defensive sides getting through their offense, their offensive line, and getting to the quarterbacks and injuring them, right? Well, it happened to Brock Purdy, happened to Jimmy Garoppolo, and then by using Trey Lance as a little bit of a battering ram or more as a running back, as some people have said, Rich Madrid thinks differently. But what does it say when they are thinking about having four quarterbacks? Let's keep listening to Mark.
All you want, but the bottom line is he's back. And so if he's practicing, why is Brandon still getting as many looks as the other guys? I mean, how would you answer that? Why is Brandon Allen getting, and for those of you that I think the pitch count today, Brock had 21 reps. I think Trey had 11, Sam had 10, and Brandon had 9. Why?
Because they're not sure about their QB depth chart. They're not sure about QBs 2, 3, and 4. They're sure about number 1, but just in case he does get hurt, and QB1 has gotten hurt here before, They want to make sure that they know where they're going to go with QB2.
So seems to be Super Bowl or bust this year. It seems as though the QB room, they want to ensure that if Brock goes down, they bring in another one that can execute Kyle's offense. And we know that Kyle only wants, and Guy has termed some quite nice little anecdotes, or we'll just call them terms. The POA passes, the prices of admission, the passes you need to hit that apparently Trey didn't hit today in regard to the dinks and the dunks that some people say. Ryan G. Hensley calls them dinks and dunks. I call them that. Grant calls them that. It's those quick and easy passes that you need to check down to a McCaffrey, to a Mitchell, to a Jordan Mason, to ensure that you don't get sacked, you don't throw the ball away, and you keep moving the chains. It's not a bad idea from Kyle Shanahan. He knows more about NFL football than I, but he's having 4 quarterbacks. And as I think, and as you'll hear Michelle talk, most of Michelle, I'm not even try and say her last name. Sorry, Michelle. But it can lead to them playing scared, and no one wants their quarterback playing scared. All right, so let's move on to now a couple of gentlemen that we know. The Krug Show. So 49ers Summer Ball he's got here. He's got a sponsorship. Let's share this tab instead. Let's hear what these guys have to say. Kruger's gonna kick it off.
The pass to Braden Willis, it's like he didn't give him a chance at it. You got a back who's in the flat.
He's talking about one of Trey Lance's particularly bad passes.
Moving away from the quarterback, and he threw it where he couldn't even get a finger on it. It was so
he did the same
low.
thing yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and it's at his feet as he's moving away from Trey. That is a layup. That is, it's like Kyle is thinking when he's calling that play, okay, we're gonna have, 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4, and then all of a sudden you're staring at 2nd and 10. Those are just yards that you cannot. Pro quarterbacks have to be able to complete those passes with consistency.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've maintained this entire offseason that from my mind, and I've taken a lot of criticism from the Trey Lance fans, of which I am one, by the way. But I'm taking a lot of criticism from the people who just pushed back hard on my assessment of this. My assessment of this was that the Niners went through the season, then didn't, like all football teams do.
Let's leave that there. Let's just listen to what Guy Haberman has to say. I might just go back here, listen to what Larry says about some of Trey's passes.
The guy who we also talked to after practice that I thought had a horrendous day was Trey Lance. And I find this kid to be so compelling. He's so easy to root for because
this is the thing. He's a young guy. He wants to work hard. A lot of us want him to succeed. He may not have it. This is the thing. He may not have it. And this is what Lombardi keeps referring to. Some people don't like Lombardi. I've never met him, but in terms of what he reports, I find sometimes he can be arrogant, and we're going to get to that, but that's his style. And again, who am I to judge? So
because he's a sweet kid, he's trying hard, he wants this dream, he's all about football. Football's the family business. His dad played in the Canadian League. I scouted his dad in the mid '90s, Carlton, when he was with the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
So let's kick it on up to about the 5-minute mark, where Guy Haberman says some pretty interesting stuff. It's up around here. Oh, don't give me an ad. Sorry, guys.
Are your missing teeth changing the shape of your face and making you look older? Hi, I'm Dr. Melissa Ann.
Easy throws and the open throws. And for Trey to put a ball at Braden Willis's feet and to put a ball at Jordan Mason's feet today in the flat, it is a price of admission throw. They weren't even close misses. Those were significant throws. When you combine it with Darnold making some really professional throws today. So yeah, I have Darnold ahead of Trey today, and I'm somebody who said in OTAs I didn't think Darnold was any better than Trey in OTAs.
I agree.
And I didn't think Darnold was better than Trey on the first day, but he's been better than Trey the last 2 days.
So what's happening? This is where I think if someone can get in, we're going to hear Trey Lance later with his interview that he went in front of the press. He had a presser, and the reporters asked him the question. Someone has to be ballsy enough to say, "Hey, Trey, are you losing confidence? You look good in OTAs. You look pretty good on day one. The work that you did with Jeff Christensen, the quarterback coach of Jimmy Garoppolo and Patty Mahomes, you look great. Obviously, it's very different when the bullets are flying, and pads are going on Monday, so things are going to change. I, for one, really hope that Trey gets things together. But let's go now and hear from the Gold Standard podcast, and that is entitled why the title is something around the lines of, cut the crap, Kyle. That's right. So let's listen to what Rob Stats and Michelle have to say.
And here's why you can't trust the numbers.
Sorry, what I should say in front of this is that one of the reasons I'm doing these reactions to the reactions is because of the differing and the dichotomy of the reactions that we're getting from the reporters. And so this is a really great example of that.
Everybody's got different numbers. There's a lot of
not
stuff.
wearing pads, so who cares?
Right. They don't have pads on until next week. But perfect example of this. Let me share my screen really quick if you're watching on YouTube. This is literally back-to-back tweets in my feed from earlier today. Jennifer Lee Chan. Brock Purdy looked like he didn't skip a beat, taking the normal amount of first-team reps. The next tweet is from Spreadsheet. Brock Purdy was very rusty in his return to the practice field. It's literally back-to-back tweets. So we're getting conflicting information from everybody. So I don't really care specifically if he was 3 of 10 with an interception or 2 of 8 or 4 of 9. I'm not going to get hung up on that stuff. But
Okay. So as we saw yesterday in the reactions to the reactions, Brad from SF Niners, I was saying SF 49ers yesterday, he gave a very glowing report to Brock on his first day, which really didn't ring true with a lot of the other content creators. Let's kick it up a little bit to what Michelle has to say, and which is what look, I'm a coach of junior rugby league. It's nothing like coaching the NFL. Don't get me wrong. But the books I've read, the coaches that I look up to, it's about creating an environment where people are set up to succeed. Is Kyle doing this? Let's hear what Michelle has to say on this subject. Where are we? We're going to go to this mark here. And if it goes to an ad, I'm going to be very upset.
Found very interesting is he said that Kyle Shanahan was one of the losers of so far through 2 days of training camp because of this quarterback competition. He says it's bringing down all 3 guys. It's making all 3 worse with Brock Purdy, with Trey Lance, and Sam Darnold, because their confidence is shot. They're too worried to make a mistake because they know, oh my goodness, if I make a mistake, then another guy's going to come in and get all the chances and Kyle Shanahan's going to be over me, And I could see that. And you don't want a quarterback to play scared. That's the worst way to be mentally when you're playing the quarterback position. And I think that's why Brock Purdy probably was able to be so successful last year. There was nothing behind it. I mean, it's his team. There's nothing else. There's nothing to lose. I'm just going to.
Great point. Brock came in, did phenomenally well, but there was no pressure. No pressure at all. Pressure is a big thing in sports. You talk to any sports psychologist, pressure gets to people like Sam Darnold, as they say. They call him his friends, his ghosts. The things that he doesn't see, that he reacts to, and he's jumping at shadows, something that has plagued him through his whole career. So he's coming into this situation. Well, according to the last 2 days, he's ahead of Trey Lance. But again, the thing that people say about Brock Purdy is his poise. And the poise is, I think, one of the things that has him in the number one spot as being the franchise quarterback, or the quarterback in QB1. And the thing that Rob has said earlier is that Kyle Shanahan hasn't told him that he's QB1, which is something that I would do as a coach. You're QB1, mate. Relax, get back into rhythm, get back into the place where you were last year, and let's go win some football games. The other guys fight it out. I'll handle that. That's the way I would handle it. But Kyle is not. So let's move on to Grant Cohn. Now let's think about the different times. So this video that we're looking at now was this was after day 2. This one is straight off the field. Grant, again, does have an emotional reaction to these things. But I think why Grant has the emotional reaction to these things is because he cares. He cares about Trey Lance. He cares about the San Francisco 49ers, no matter what he thinks. That he might not be a fan, but he cares. And he has a big problem with Kyle Shanahan, and I do too, in some of the ways that he coaches. So let's hear Grant Cohn coming off the field. Share this one. After day 3.
So 6 of 11 with a near pick. He also had a nice 25-yard throw to Deebo Samuel. So all credit to Brock Purdy for improving. He's got a long road ahead of him. He's clearly not fully recovered, but nice day against a defense that was missing Nick Bosa and Travarius Ward. Nice day. A day. He had a day. He was here. He played football. It was okay. The rest of the quarterbacks, Trey Lance, 205. Sam Darnold, 3.6. Brandon Allen, 1.4. I don't feel like any of those 3 got a fair shot today. I don't see how you can give any guy 6 throws, 5 throws, 4 throws, and say, hey, go compete. How is that a competition? Was Sam Darnold better than Trey Lance today because Sam Darnold was 50%? Trey Lance was 2 of 5. Like, that's not even the beginning of a quarterback competition. Trey Lance looked awful at first. His first 2 throws were terrible. His last 3 throws were pretty good. So what do you say? Bad day. Or not a day. I don't think he had a day. I don't think this is a quarterback competition. I feel like it's a waste of his time, Darnold's time, Allen's time. It's not a waste of Purdy's time, but they say they want 4 quarterbacks so they're prepared in case something bad happens. I feel like one quarterback might be sort of prepared to play football, but the other 3.
Now, again, it comes back to me. Is Kyle and John and the organization jumping at shadows themselves, making sure – are they almost – do they have a premonition that someone's going to get hurt? Is McKivitz being at right tackle going to be a problem? These are all the things that we've got to think about as fans, as people who want to intellectually think about how it's getting run over there in the States. And when I say intellectually, because the NFL game itself is such a cerebral sport in terms of what you need to know and from a playbook perspective. Very different to the sports that we have here. But that was Grant's take. We're going to go now to David Lombardi, and David Lombardi has gotten off a plane and he has heard about the thread of social media saying that the 49ers owe Trey more than this. I've got to think about it in this way. As parent, imagine you're the parents of Trey Lance. Or is this such a business that you have to discount that? But what David does say here is something that's very interesting, and I'll stop it after when he says it, because I think what it does do is show you, is sort of give you an indication of the 49ers probably don't owe Trey as much as a lot of people think they do. So let's have a listen to what Mr. Lombardi says. This is when he's sometimes in some of his arrogant moods, but nonetheless, it's a good take.
And just a quick scan of social media shows that people have gone berserk over 49ers quarterback snap divisions. Reminder, we've seen 3 training camp practices. The pads haven't even come on yet. They're not coming on until practice 5 on Monday. But I can tell you, besides overreactions to too few training camp practices, we could zoom out and we could look at how the 49ers have been talking about their strategy for this season. And we can go all the way back to the NFC Championship game where they lost all of their quarterbacks. The overarching goal that both Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have clearly reiterated several times has been to build a robust quarterback room for 2023 so they don't run into some of those similar issues again. And the way that you build a robust quarterback room is A, you of course roster a lot of players who are capable of playing the position, but B, you make sure that you develop them within the context of the system. So Brandon,
context of the system, as Grant said, 4, 5, 6 snaps, that's not developing.
Brandon Allen has to get snaps. The same people that are upset about Brandon Allen getting some snaps now would be upset if he played poorly at some point in the regular season or, heaven forbid, the playoffs. Plus, with more quarterbacks playing and getting accustomed to the system and, just generally getting good exposure, you give yourself more option power at the roster cut down deadline. But it's too soon to talk about potential trades right now because so much can still happen. The 49ers aren't really thinking about that at this moment. They're just thinking about giving themselves as many options as possible. One thing that I will say, though, because a lot of the discontent seems to be, Trey Lance isn't getting enough reps. Trey Lance doesn't, the 49ers don't owe Trey Lance anything. 49ers gave this guy a $30+ million signing bonus, in 2021? Sunk costs are sunk costs. If Trey Lance is not going to play well, if he's going to continue to butcher some of those short passes, and if Kyle Shanahan doesn't fully trust him because of that, he's got to give the reps to the quarterbacks that can better develop that room.
So that's the brutal truth, right? So no matter what you think of Lombardi, Trey has $30 million as a signing bonus. He's been looked after, right? When I said before about, think about if you're Trey's parents, think about how he's been treated at San Francisco. There's $30 million there. There's generational wealth for his family, for his children. He's going to be looked after. It's his job now to ensure that he gets those layups and those POA passes into the spots that they need to be. Whether Brandon Allen's there, and as you'll hear what Trey is about to say, he wants to make the most of the snaps that he gets. And I think at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for from a player such as Trey Lance. I'm in his corner. I want him to succeed, and I want him to succeed because I think he has the upside. I think Dana, we've got tape on Sam Darnold. He doesn't have the upside of a Trey Lance. Brock Purdy's fantastic. If he stays QB1 and wins this game, he has the Super Bowl, I'll kiss his feet. But let's hear what the man has to say himself. Let's think about the comments around his body language, that he's not confident, that he doesn't want to be there. These are not comments from me, but these are comments that are going around social media. So let's hear from the man himself, Mr. Trey Lance. We'll share this tab. And here we go.
Not a lot of reps to go around. I mean, how do you do anything on a side field? Do you do anything to sort of augment what you're getting in the actual practice?
Yeah, I mean, live reps. I mean, we got 4 guys, so it just kind of is what it is, and just try to do it the best I can to take advantage of every rep I get.
How did you link up with Jeff Christensen in the offseason? Did someone recommend him to you?
I had a friend, his name is Zeb Nolan, that I played with in college, and he had worked with Jeff, and we talk ball all the time. So we had talked about it, and I had talked to Jeff, and then we started working together, and that was it. I don't want to get into all the details, but I feel really good about what we've accomplished, and going to continue to work and continue to get better.
Along those lines, what did you gain from just being around Patrick Mahomes and maybe picking his brain?
Okay, for me, that's all we need to hear. You give your own opinion. Look at Trey Lance. Does he look uncomfortable to you? I don't know. I don't know what's going on inside his head. What I can know, if you watch, and I'll put the links in the description, if you watch the whole interview and the questions with Trey, he does want to move on to each. He gives a very polite, a very not rehearsed, but a very soundbiteable remarks, and then looks away and looks to get another question from another reporter. So he, if that's a sign of him not being comfortable, then so be it. So that's going to be it for this evening. Let's just get that out of there. So a bit to get through tonight. How long we're 24 minutes in. Geez. I'll chapter it up so you can see. And the reason I'm doing this obviously is more so for the Australian audience, just so you're not going to watch all these content creators. I do. I love the 49ers. Can't wait for the games to start. But to give you guys an indication of what's happening over there with the quarterback competition, who's covering it, how they're covering it, is there bias, is there a balanced view? We've heard from Lombardi, Kruger, we've heard from Grant, we've heard from Guy Haberman, we've heard from Rob Stats Guerrera, and we'll get to some other ones as the days goes on. So you have a good night, guys. No training tomorrow, no practice tomorrow, but we will be back on Monday morning, and pads don't go on, but we'll still be able to see and hear some of the thoughts of the content creators over there in San Francisco. So that's me over and out. I will see you soon. Bye now.